Hey, everybody. Welcome to Poduty in the News for Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026. We've got 6 stories about live news podcasting coming your way. I've got a great guest, Keri Doan, joining me. Keri, do you know what time it is?
It's go time.
It's go time!
What time is it? What time is it? It's time for Poduty and the News. Poduty and the News. The only live news podcast about podcasting from the stage. Poduty and the News. Poduty and the News. The only live news podcast about podcasting from the stage.
Oh, the only live news podcast about podcasting from the stage, a little behind the baseball. I forgot the script, and I had to run back, and I think I pulled my calf muscle.
Oh, no.
I got to get in better shape. Keri, Waiting on West, excited to have you here, waitingonwest.com. I know that you're doing a lot of things that really parallel with what we're trying to build here at the theater, especially with showing business owners, showing people. It's not just about creating more content. It's about creating the right content, the right time for the right people. Tell us a little bit about Waiting on West.
Yeah, so I run basically a social media business. At the end of the day, that's what I focus on. But it's all about visibility for growing businesses and making it really accessible and realistic and something that can be sustained long term. And a huge piece of that is the understanding of what content that connects is and what actual results we want as humans on the internet with growing businesses. It's not all about virality. It's about having a room full of people, your people that you want to have. And so I get to kind of help people find their direction, whether that means I'm coaching them or doing it for them.
waitingonwest.com. I'll put all the links in the show notes. And on the podcast page, we have what's called The Crew. So after today's show, Keri is going to be part of The Crew, Poduty and The Crew. If you go to the page and you look for The Crew page, it's every guest that's ever been on the show. Keri will be there along with links to the website, her bio, social media links. You're going to be able to connect and follow along with Keri. And then obviously after this show, I'm going to invite her back on the show whenever she wants to come on. But all those future episodes will also be tied together to her profile on the podcast page, which is a really nice way to, if you like this episode, you might want to find other episodes in the future. Are you ready for our stories? We're going to go right to the library. You got your library card ready to go? When people think about live podcasting, they usually think about theaters, conference stages, or comedy clubs. But this new partnership between Beyond the Green Podcast, the Morris County Park Commission, and the Parsippany Library is a great reminder that libraries can be incredible venues for live podcast events. Their new series combines live recording, audience Q&A, and local storytelling to bring history directly to the community. It's a simple concept, but it highlights something we talk about often on this show. Podcasters don't always need bigger audiences. They need better places to connect with the audiences they already have. And this is kind of that, what can you do in your own community? And most communities have, small coffee shops. They have bars. They have restaurants with back rooms. But what a lot of people don't realize is a lot of libraries have media centers. A lot of libraries have media rooms or performance halls where you can take your own show about something that you're passionate about in your community and go to your local library, perform a show, make some new connections, build that community within your community. And it's a great way to get great content that's unique to you and that you can share all over the place and really boost your credibility.
100%. I was so excited as soon as you said libraries. I'm like, I am in. We are a military family. And I always say when you get to a new community, the first 2 things you need to visit are your local library and your local farmers market. You will immediately learn so much about the area and the people that are there through those 2 places, but also libraries. I mean, ours also has a podcast studio. You can borrow it anytime you like, but even just a meeting room, you know what I mean? If they don't have a high-tech meeting or, podcast space, even just one of their meeting rooms, or ours have like soundproof booths you can sit in and do some work. prop your phone up there and film some content. And like you said, like these connection, like this place that you can go to connect with people that are there, but also to create content that connects with your people. Like, you know, can you imagine if you just had 30 people that just always listen to your podcast and they commented every single time? And I mean, like, how cool would that be to have a little community? It doesn't have to be this huge thing.
Yeah, a lot of libraries too, they'll do special events, special occasions. Sometimes they have little fairs or festivals, and they're looking for community members to volunteer to help run it, but also to be the entertainment. So if you want to boost your credibility in your own community, that type of volunteership where you can go help somebody put on a little event at a library and get to meet new people, it's a win-win for everybody, for the community and for your podcast or your business.
Absolutely. I feel like, I don't know if everyone experiences this, but our library for sure, if you go in and say you want to host a class or you want to, like, you know, do a speaking arrangement or something, they'll always give you the space to do it and they'll let you put your poster up. Like, it's absolutely a great place to network, to make friends, and to have like a creative outlet. Our library also rents out like gardening tools and like snowshoes. We're in Canada. They got snowshoes. You could do everything that you dream of at the library, and I will stand by that for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, a lot of this is low cost. Sometimes it's free to you, and sometimes renting these rooms might be $25 or $50, but that might be for the whole like 4-hour segment that you want to set up and tear down and record the show. So these are very affordable ways to start taking your show out into the community. Start thinking outside the box of how can I build something? How can I promote something? How can I make something bigger than just my little office space? Well, these types of spaces, we were talking about the library here, but coffee shops in the afternoon sometimes slow down. Everybody already has their caffeine fix for the day. They have spaces. They have stages a lot of times. Restaurants and have little banquet halls in the back room. They're looking to bring people in. If you can bring in an audience, you're going to add value to that business. You're going to build something in your community and have a really good time doing a live show.
Yeah, absolutely. And community is the key to everything that we do. So if you can have, you know, a couple of friends at the coffee shop or your local library, it really is that word of mouth that I think maybe sometimes forget about now that we have social media, but it is the core of everything that we do.
Yeah, and our next story kind of blends that community building with what I love, which is live performing and small theater spaces, small podcasts, that DIY mentality. Like, how can you do something that you own, control from start to finish? And in this episode of, this was come to us from the Recruitment Mentors Podcast with Hisham Azuz. This was one of the biggest misconceptions about live podcasting is that you just show up, you hit record and let the magic happen. The Recruitment Mentors Podcast recently shared a behind-the-scenes look at how they sold out a 100-person event in London. And what stood out to me was how much preparation went into making the event feel effortless. From carefully selecting panelists to choosing the right venue and planning the conversation flow, this is a great reminder that successful live podcasting isn't about winging it. It's about creating an experience that feels natural, because the hard work happens way before anybody walks in that door.
It's so true. And effortless, I feel like we should probably never use that word, because the only thing that makes something effortless is pre-planning, is pre-thought. If you look at someone and what they're doing and you think, wow, they did that with zero effort, you really need to remind yourself of how much they did on the back end that you didn't get to see, that created that effortless look. That comes from work and strategy. And sometimes that means you give yourself more time to plan, or, you know, do things that will make micro steps towards that goal, as opposed to, oh yeah, we just showed up, it was super effortless. Effortless is a lie.
It's like that meme you see of the iceberg where just the little bit of the iceberg sticks out of the water, but the preparation is really below the water. All those things that go into it to make it work, to make it feel effortless, to make it feel seamless. There's a lot of planning and preparation to put all those things together, to get the right venue, to get the ticketing right, to get that. Even the check-in experience is one of the things I stress about when I talk about live events. How are you going to get people through the door that have paid tickets? How do you check people in? That little bit can make or break an event. If people are waiting 10, 15 minutes just to get their name checked off of a list, they're going to be upset right from the start. So those little things that you think about, it's all about the experience, the presentation, the night. How can you put all those little things together and make it seem effortless, make it seem smooth for the viewer?
Absolutely. And I think it's so easy when you're a creative or a business owner to see that top part of the iceberg and go, oh, I could never do that. But really, you're not thinking about all that's below. There's so much going on, and being able to curate down to that first step in the door. What does the person experience is a skill that maybe not everyone has. So it's really cool to be able to put that into play.
Yeah, it's a short little video. It's about, I think, 15, 17 minutes. Check it out. All the links for all the stories are in the show notes, and it'll just give you, an idea of what all goes into putting these local events together. And it's not magic. Just because you showed up and it looks like a great event, a lot of prepping and planning went into it. And speaking of prepping and planning, over the years, how about getting to 1 billion downloads and still going out and selling tickets? I love this. When a podcast reaches 500 million downloads, you'd think they might not need to do live shows anymore, but no such thing as Fish is doing exactly the opposite. They're heading back to the Royal Institution in London for a 4-night run of live recordings, with one show also available as a live stream. This is one of the clearest examples that podcasting isn't just about downloads, it's about experiences. And even after 600 episodes and worldwide success, they're still creating opportunities for audiences to gather in a room, laugh together, and be part of the show in real time. That's the biggest lesson podcasters at every level can take from this story.
It really is that example we always hear about having, 10 people in the room with you as opposed to 100 viewers on social media, right? It's connection. It's that call back to analog and experiential things that we want to do. And I would say as a creative, right, as a business owner, of course, having that many downloads is a huge, huge milestone, and we absolutely give them kudos for that. But do they feel that kind of, you only feel it when you have an audience of humans, of community, of connection, and you get that when you're in a show and you get to hear them cheer or boo or cry or, whatever they're feeling with you in the moment. You don't really get that. And I think especially for creatives, right, they like that feedback of a show that you don't get all the time from a podcast.
Yeah, you touched on something that I harp on all the time, and it's the value of a viewer. And when we talk about podcast advertising, you're lucky if you can get about $20 per 1,000 downloads for your ad rates, which breaks down to about 2 cents per listener. So if 1,000 people download, you're going to get about 2 cents per person on that download. But if you can sell a ticket and make a $5 profit off of that ticket, that's 250 times more valuable per listener than trying to hope that you can get this audience to get people to download and sell ads. And so really these community events, they know they're on to something, because they know a theater that's full for 4 nights in a row is probably going to make substantially more than some podcast advertising.
Yeah, and if you think of how it ties back to their show, I bet that everyone that's in that audience will continue to listen to the podcast, of course, but they'll probably be actively engaged in the comment section too, right? Because that connection is there. So they're kind of continuing to sustain that community.
Yeah, and a lot of times people listen to podcasts solo, but they like to go to podcast events with a guest. So not only are you going to get the biggest fans that are buying the ticket, but they're going to drag along 2, 3, 4 people like, hey, you got to see these guys. No such thing as Fish. It's crazy. So it's a great way to expand your reach, expand your audience, especially when your super fans are bringing other people along.
That's a great point. I love that.
And going to digital, this time we're going to do a little bit of tech on the tech side here. This place called Punchup started building new tools for creators, for comedians, for podcasters. And one of the things they're even doing is ticketing. So keep that in mind for when you start to book the library and you want to have some shows. But one of the biggest challenges for podcasters is that their audience, memberships, premium content, and ticket sales often live on completely different platforms. Punchup Live is trying to change that by launching a podcast tool that combines subscriptions, premium content, and live event ticketing all under one roof. What's interesting isn't the technology itself, it's the philosophy behind it. they're betting that the same people listening to a podcast are also people most likely who to buy tickets, attend events, and support the creators directly. That's the concept you've had people on this show have heard me talk about for the last 70 episodes. But the closer you can bring your audience to the experience, the easier it becomes to build a sustainable business.
Yeah, isn't that cool? And like the fact that they're kind of, I would say, getting a little bit ahead of this. I haven't seen anyone doing this type of model before. And I really love that they're thinking in that space that we are seeing. We're seeing it in micro doses kind of happening here and here. It's only going to grow. And as someone who spends all day, every day on a computer, how nice is it to have everything in one place instead of having 99 tabs open? If anything brings me joy, it's unsubscribing or canceling subscriptions to things. So if we can just narrow it down to one place, I'm all in. Sign me up.
Yeah, a one-stop shop for creators. And you're kind of hinting on this too, that there's a wave of interest of people who want to get back to real life, who want to get back to real events, who want to sit in rooms with people, laugh with people. We've gotten so disconnected through cell phone addiction, through video scrolling at night, through those streaming services that you're mentioning, where we're not doing things as a society together. We're doing a lot of things independently, and those apps make us feel like we're connected, but we don't really have connection. And there are a lot of people waking up right now to like, hey, maybe this thing I carry around all day and I check 70 times a day, maybe it's not a good thing for my mental health. And you are seeing that. And I think especially with the push of AI into everything, people are revolting from AI. They're starting to get sick of the social media apps. They're starting to crave human connection. And I think what Punchup Live's doing, I think what you're starting to see in this area in Pittsburgh with this theater space, these are things that are happening now. And there's a tidal wave of people coming who are hungry for these type of events.
You know what I was thinking about was like how even if you're in a situation where you have to be online, right? I can't book a space. I don't have someone to care for my grandparents, or you know what I mean? Like whatever your life is, you can't do it, right? It's just not going to work. It just really reminds us of, again, with AI coming in, how important it is and how much it's valued when you are showing up online to, make mistakes and fumble your words and, have a little bit of a mess in the background. And those are things that actually do connect and they help you stand out. And so we get to kind of be very human, which sometimes means we make mistakes. Sometimes it means there's a pile of laundry behind us, and we get to do that and still make friends and connect. And honestly, I would say even for myself, my best performing pieces of content have been things where people are commenting on, oh, I have that shirt. Oh, I have this. Oh, I also have my website on here, right? They're finding a number of things to talk about from one piece of content. That all comes from humanness, right? So we have to let go of that kind of picture of like, I have to be poised. I have to have a perfect background. I have to have a blouse on. I have to have a script. We can get rid of that now. And that's really cool. So even if you can't be in an in-person space, be a little bit of a messy human, because that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, I think we're getting back towards a healthy balance. Like the social media is still important for discovery, but it's not just what I post, not just about what I'm posting, which is important and helps people find the podcast, find your business, but building on that through these in-person events. And then that becomes the content that goes back on social media. And it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy where you're talking about live events, you're sharing that to get discovery. The people watching that come to the live events, now you have more content. And there's really a balance being restored. Whereas we were 100% social media, especially after COVID, where we were all on our phones all the time. But now we're restoring that balance to where social media is becoming like a tool. It's becoming an asset again to drive these local and in-person events.
I like to call your social media a soft place to land. So if I hear about you from a friend, or if I see you at an in-person event and I'm kind of curious or whatever, we want your social media to be a soft place for someone new to land and kind of get to know, like, are you personality? Are you silly? Are you serious? Are you bold? Are you funny? But also, like, what do you educate on? What do you care about? What are your offers? What are you selling? And so it kind of is like this pillow. And the only way the pillow can be soft is if you have a little bit of all of those categories.
Yeah, I love that analogy. It's a great way to think about it. As it is kind of like that first impression. Is what are you like? Even you don't have to be fully serious all the time, but you have something you want to share, something that's personal, something that's relatable to your audience, and it's not everything all at once, but it's a nice soft introduction, a nice way to get to know somebody.
Yeah.
And how about knowing somebody for 50 years? And this, I pulled this one up because this is about connection and making friends when you don't know where it'll lead to, making connections where you don't know it'll lead to. This was a connection that somebody made 50 years ago, and it just turned out that it was Chaka Khan, and they were able to book them on a podcast 50 years later. So one of the most powerful assets a podcaster can build isn't a microphone, a camera, or even an audience. It is relationships. Filmmaker Chann Berry recently launched his new Conversations in Music live podcast series in Oakland by sitting down with the longtime friend Chaka Khan. Their friendship goes back decades, and that connection was obvious throughout the event as they shared stories, took audience questions, and even performed music together. This story highlights something important about live podcasting. Sometimes the reason people buy a ticket isn't the format, it's the opportunity to witness a genuine conversation between people who have real history together.
That's such an impressive flex. Like, oh yeah, my podcast guest, Chaka Khan, like no big deal. How impressive is that? That's amazing. But you really, like, there's no course you can buy. There's no hacks. There's no cheat codes to making friends, like to having some sort of connection with people, whether you join your local chamber of commerce or you get to know the librarian or the guy at the coffee shop. Like there's nothing that can replace that. And it's something you can do through the internet, but it's even stronger if it's in real life, where you can kind of find things that you resonate with other people, or even things that you just want to debate about, depending on the person. But there's no funnels, there's no transactions to a relationship.
And you never know what it'll lead to 20, 30, 40 years down the road. There might be small meetups and small gatherings, and maybe some people dismiss them. Oh, there's only going to be 5 or 10 people there. But one of those 5 or 10 people could be someone that you network with, or they know somebody who can get you to the next step. And you just never know. Like, who would have known 50 years ago that Chaka Khan would be a powerhouse celebrity and then be able to come on your podcast after being friends for all these years. And I just say, take advantage of every opportunity you can get, especially when you're building community, make friends and make those connections.
Because the next Chaka Khan could be there.
Yeah.
But it really is crazy. Like I've had situations where I've met someone and I've gone, oh, I know that they don't want to be on social media. They're not a lead for me. And then I guarantee you every single time that person, within a week, someone will reach out and they'll say, oh yeah, so-and-so recommended you. They said that they met you here. And you're kind of going, oh, right. Like you really see it in action, but you don't get to see it if you don't get out there and if you don't show up to these things. And even if you just stand in a corner and smile, inevitably someone's going to come up to you. It's going to be okay, but you got to kind of take that leap.
Yeah, you just never know. Take advantage of every opportunity, except for maybe if you go too public with AI when you have great talent on staff already. This is kind of a learning lesson, I think, for some of us. Just because AI can do something, doesn't mean it should. And AI is making its way into every part of content creation. But that doesn't mean audiences are automatically going to embrace it. Cleveland.com has taken some heat for using AI-generated cartoon versions of its podcast host to promote episodes on social media. And the reaction has been overwhelmingly negative. What's interesting to me is that this wasn't a case where they lacked content. They already had real video of the hosts available. The decision was about choosing AI over authenticity. As more creators experiment with AI tools, this story raises an important question. When does technology make content better? And when does it create distance between creators and its audience?
This one really gets me. As soon as I saw those pictures, I was like, it reminds me of 2007. My husband and I went to New York City. We're from the west coast of Canada. And we get a caricature, the side of the road. It's still in our house here today. That's what that first one looked like. It looked like a caricature, but we only paid like $18 for that. And an artist made it. You know what I mean? So as silly as a caricature is, like a real human could have made that. I also see sometimes bakeries will do this. So they'll use like cartoon AI images of baked good. It's like, you guys make beautiful things. You have these humans. What is going on? What should we use AI for? Like research, for automations, like for things that we don't have time for. I always say the boring stuff, right? But the things that we need to be present for, the things that we need to be human for, you can't replace it. Like we've touched on that. If you didn't get that in the last 5 stories, like it's all there, like we've already gone into that, but like you can't replace the human. You can't replace yourself. There's no prompt. There's no information you can give it that would replace you, whether it's in a photo or a script or whatever. It will always perform better if you're just a little bit goofy, a little bit silly. Make a mistake. It's fine.
I say only you can be you. There's no need to replicate it. People have already come to the show to see you. They listen to you on the podcast to hear you. They go to your social media to see you. You don't need to replicate that. There's one of you in the whole entire world, and those people have found you based on the way you perceive the thing that you're passionate about, by the way that you share your interests. They're connected to you. You don't have to go above and beyond to be something else. Just be yourself. Like Keri said, you are the one that people want to see and talk to.
And unfortunately, like I even noticed at my grocery store closest to me here that when you go look at the board, the bulletin board by the tills, so many AI posters, and I find that people, they kind of immediately, right, they wall up. They can't be anywhere near it when they see something that looks like AI. So they're going to swipe past your poster for your event. They're going to, just go away from your content. They're going to immediately pull back even more. They won't even give it a chance to get to know you if they feel that disconnect right off the bat. It's almost like you don't want to connect with them. So why should they do that with you?
Yeah, and this is probably a warning too. 6 months ago, 8 months ago, you may have gotten away with this type of content, but the tide has really turned since the beginning of the year, where you get that visceral reaction that Keri's talking. People are really revolting against anything AI, whether it's done well or not. It gets labeled AI slop now. Everything does, and they will just ignore you. They will tune you out. And I look at a story like this, and it's not terrible. I get that it's cute what they were trying to do, but you also have to read the room, and the room temperature on AI is changing very rapidly in this country. And like you said, even at the grocery store, people are like, what's this AI poster doing in my grocery store? I don't want to see that here.
Trust is everything. You have to build trust. And even if you're just having a yard sale, like as soon as there's an AI poster, people kind of go, is it a yard sale? Really? What are you really doing here? Because it just doesn't connect. You would probably be better off to just get a Sharpie and a marker. People would probably be at your yard sale right away.
Yeah, so just keep that in mind and really think about the things that you publish. And like Keri says, AI should be a tool. It should be an assistant, an executive assistant that helps you with the boring stuff, helps you filter out some of your ideas, build on some things, craft some emails, do things that you would maybe in the 1950s hand off to an executive assistant. But today you don't have the resources, so you use tools to do that. Behind the scenes boring stuff. But for the creative stuff that's public facing, I think now more than ever you've got to be as authentic as you can be.
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to be a little bit messy or make mistakes. It really, I think that's why it connects so well, is because people go, it's too perfect. Did AI do it? So, I mean, you don't have to show up with a stained t-shirt, but just be okay if you fumble your words. It's all going to be okay.
Well, Keri, this goes by so fast. We did 6 stories already, and this is the part of the show. One final time, I turn the entire floor over to you. You can plug, promote, talk about anything you'd like. Keri, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, the pressure now. I mean, listen, I don't really love talking about myself, but I love helping other people. I love this topic of connection and community. And I think that when we're, hosting events in person or trying to promote ourselves on social media, we are really seeing so much information being fed to us. And it's important to kind of like take that information and pause and decide, is this information to benefit me? Is it to grow that person's business? And what pieces of that information help me, right? Is there a system there that doesn't work, but I can take these tips and tricks to myself? Is there things that I notice my audience connects with? And think about your ideal audience that I can do to connect, to get them to want to hang out with me. Like I had a client that recently got monetized. And I said, well, that's because of your people. Your people are engaging with your content. And she looked at me and she's like, I got people. And it's that feeling of like, what can you do to find your people? It's only to be yourself. So that's all I really want people to do. If you want to find me, waitingonwest.com, but you can also do it on your own and you will do really, really well.
Waitingonwest.com. We'll have the link in the show notes along with all Keri's profiles. Keri, do you remember what time it was?
It was go time. Is it go time again?
It's go home time.
What time is it?